Hey everybody, another episode of the SRA podcast here. Michael Reeder, your host. Jeri and Joe Reeder, thank you so much for joining me on an episode of the SRA podcast. It's great to have you both here.
Great, thank you for having us.
Yes.
We're really excited to talk to you today.
Well, the feeling's mutual. And everyone, there's no relation between us. We all have the same last name. We're all Reeders. We're all proud Reeders. But if we were related, that would be cool. It would be pretty cool to be related, to be like your cousin. It's not the case, but if that were the case, that'd be pretty awesome. So that's how I feel.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
You guys probably don't feel the same way after. No, I'm just kidding. So, Jeri and Joe, a husband-wife dynamic duo, entrepreneurial couple out of the Chicago area that are co-owners of the Shine window and holiday lighting franchise. It's been about a year and a half that the two of you have been in business. I would just love to hear your story. So, before we go into Shine and everything today, give the audience a background on just, what was life for Jeri and Joe in the context of, working and professional careers and stuff that led you, before you went into Shine these last few years. Just would love to hear that backstory.
All right, fantastic. So, I was in a variety of business operations roles and was most recently at a nonprofit organization. Had been in the nonprofit world for close to maybe 10 years. And then, it's getting a little bit burnt out on that, but also wanted to keep just that, mission focus of what a nonprofit could be. And then, started in 2019, started exploring some other options, and then was really on on a different path, maybe getting into higher education. And then the COVID pandemic hit. So that position, just ended up getting put on hold. And Joe and I were kind of then faced with what do we do next? And Joe's story kind of intertwines with mine in that way.
It does. I spent the previous 30 years working in various roles: sales, marketing, category management, mostly sales, and mostly calling on Walgreens for several large companies selling over-the-counter health and beauty products. So working for Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and most recently Bayer. Very rewarding, very fulfilling career. But it just got to the point where I felt like I could be doing more and giving back more. And it just coincided with the time that Jeri's opportunity in higher education fell through. I then, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, lost my position in sales as well. And so we decided we needed to regroup, refocus. While both of us could have just gone down the path that we were at with our career already, we decided we wanted to find something where we could be our own bosses, but also give back to the community. And so we decided that Shine was the option that we needed, the franchise that gave us the opportunity to be our own bosses, but also give back.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you both for sharing. And just listening to both of you just tell that story, I can just sense the passion and the fulfillment that the two of you have been experiencing as business owners. And that's really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one of the things that really drew us to Shine was just the focus on the mission. And it's not just about the service lines that we offer. It's really about the impact that we can make on our employees' lives and the impact that we can make on our clients' lives, and then just the local community, and even, give back to nonprofits that are local, national, and even global.
Incredible. And I've heard mission. I've heard the word mission and making an impact already multiple times in just a few minutes that we've been talking. And it's such a beautiful thing as business owners to have the ability to build your business the way that you want to be in alignment with the values that you hold in high regard. And we all love to make money, right? We all love having autonomy of schedule, working hard, but working for ourselves. But I mean, that's really powerful, Jeri, what you said right there about just how you want to make a difference in the lives of your employees and the clients that you serve, and taking X amount of your revenues, of your profits, and donating them to 501c3s that you support. The sky's the limit. As a business owner, you can, it's and again, I said this just 10 seconds ago, but it's not just about making money. And I talk a lot about that with business owners. It's the business serving as a vehicle through which you can live a life of abundance, the way that life of abundance, is defined in your own head. And so, I mean, just like boom, instant. Like as soon as the two of you started talking, I was like, wow. Like, I mean, you're really just. I can just sense a fulfillment there, and I'm just so happy for the two of you.
Thank you. It's nice for you to mention that.
Absolutely. So you were both. So because a lot of our audience are working corporate jobs right now, or they're working not-for-profit or government jobs, hospital, and they're burnt out in one way, shape, or form, or multiple. And I heard burnt out once or twice there. I mean, like, it was just, what was it, speaking from your experience, like, what was it? I mean, of course, everything with COVID and layoffs like that was a big factor. And we'll because it's a fascinating time that we're in right now, because that's going on everywhere, and how people respond to it. It's a fascinating topic. But like, what was some of the, what's top of mind for both of you, like, when it comes to it wasn't in your prior life professionally, there was burnt out, it wasn't fulfilling, talk through that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. I think, that's a good one. Let's see how to describe that. Yeah, I mean,
we get deep over here on the SRA podcast.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was probably, not realizing, maybe at the time that I was more interested in doing things in an entrepreneurial way, and being able, to call the shots, right or wrong, better or worse. Sometimes when you're in that position of, working for somebody else, then you ultimately may have to do things the way somebody else wants you to do them. And so, even if you don't agree with it, and so you just, you either have to suck it up and do it, and, have that be the way that you work, or just, make a change that, will bring you more fulfillment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll add to that by saying that I know that when I think about the journey that we're on now, it goes back to everybody has a COVID story, a COVID situation, whether it directly affected them or they went right back to their job, and whatever that is. Fortunately, in our case, it ends up being that our COVID story ends up being more positive than when we went into the COVID period, coming out of it, because it was the kick in the pants that we both needed to realize that we could and should take that chance. Signing up with a franchise, with Shine or with any franchise, is the most rewarding experience, but it's also the scariest, and has given us some sleepless nights, because we are concerned about and focused on making sure that we're taking care of our customers, because our mantra is, and we heard this from someone else, take care of your customers and the rest will come. And that's what we need to focus on, and that's what we've been doing. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we're going to be able to take care of ourselves coming out of all this. But we're confident that with the strides that we've made, the accomplishments that we've made, the team that we've put together, and how the team has given back to our company and helped us grow as well as owners, has really gotten us to a point where I am so excited about the future of Shine of Chicago North, but also the future of the rest of the team, growing the team, serving more people with more trucks in the field, et cetera. It's really exciting times, and really looking forward to that moving forward.
Yeah, wow, that's some great stuff there. There's just so much there from both of you. Thank you. I'm just trying to think where to start, but where I'm going to respond is, so first, I just had a little Field of Dreams Kevin Costner pop into my head, because take care of the clients and the rest will come. Right? If you build it, they will come. So that's in the mind right now. Shout out to Kevin Costner. So my whole 2 cents on, because I now own the CPA firm that hired me out of college. I also own another business that I funded. And so during the time of the year, I either have between 20 and 30 people on the team, full-time, part-time, W-2, 1099. And so, have hundreds of clients. And so I am a big advocate of the mindset of, now it's depending on who you talk to, this would be controversial, but it's not, because ultimately it's the same. It's just a way of articulating it, a way of framing it. I'm a big fan of team first, client second. Now that does not mean that I, don't value my clients. I do. I really do. A lot. And so, but it's the indirect thinking, right? Because if I take care of my team, and my team enjoy, and I have a great culture at my business, then my team is going to come fulfilled, and as a result, they are going to be of service to the clients. And so it's both. It's they're both important, right? It's not one over the other. But when I had that mantra's been in my head for the last half decade. Southwest Airlines has a whole thing, they're with their corporate culture, how they're team first, client second. That whole Southwest Airlines is a big thought leader, I guess, in when it comes to this. But so that is, and I heard, and I it's you guys, you both want you want to make a difference in your team's lives. Well, your employees, your contractors. And kudos to the two of you for that, because there are not a lot of bosses, there are not a lot of business owners that approach, taking care of their team that way.
Yeah, right. I think it's, especially important for us being this service business where, our crew can work in some pretty, harsh conditions. The past couple of days it's been snowing, and we're all right, time for you to go out there. But we want them to know they're not only the people that got to go out in the field. We recognize that they have lives. They have families that they're trying to support. They have goals of their own. And, we would love to, help them get there, whether it's buying their first car or, ultimately we want everybody to stay, with us as long as possible as well. But if they have a different career goal to ultimately be able to achieve something else, and they need some, money to help them afford to get to school, we're helping them get there. So, it's kind of it's all about the journey for all of us.
Yeah. And it's amazing thank you, Jeri. It's amazing when you talk to your team. It's amazing how money is not the motivating factor a lot of the times. They want jobs. I mean, they want to make, of course they want to make money, and they want to have room for growth. And for some employees, that's more important than others. But, people want job security. People want to feel empowered when they're at the workplace. There's again, I'm not a scientist, but I listen to a bunch of podcasts. I'm not going to start I don't remember things specifically, so I'm not. But I was listening to a podcast a few months ago where there's there were experiments where once human beings get to a certain point where they make enough money where they can keep the bill collectors at bay and have some discretionary income, then money substantially does not become that. It's not I'm not it's just, and of course it varies for each person out there. But the common denominator is once you make enough money to keep the bill collectors at bay and you have some discretionary income, then making more money does not. It's not as, and so it's just and just talking with your team and listening to them and understanding what's important to them and making sure that you can deliver on what they are. It's a two-way street, right? Just like franchisor is a two-way street, like employee is a two-way street. And I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan. Gary V, VaynerMedia, Wine Library. And so I always find myself quoting a lot of his things, but he says, like, if you're a boss, if you're an employer, understand that you work for your employees. That's servant leadership, and it's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of our current team members, his name's Darius. He says that job is short for just over broke.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah. As long as you pay those bills.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Absolutely. And there's and Jeri, you were saying like when in your prior professional life, if you know that things can be done a certain way, but it's just not happening because the big wigs at the top are saying no for whatever reason, the bureaucracy, the whatever you want to call it, that just that has you still got to wake up to go to work, and you got to collect your paycheck, got to pay the bills and all that type of stuff. But now it's just you don't really, you start to feel that disconnection of I got to go here because I got to get paid. But, there's a lot of BS going on, but I got to just keep my mouth shut. And then that just, now you're not you're not living a life of abundance like you're living now, and will continue to be. And when more people at the workplace feel like that, it creates a bad culture. It's just a bunch of people are here because we have to be, and so now that you're business owners and cultivating a culture at your place of work where people want to come, that is great for your team, and as a result, it's going to be great for your clients. And in your business, you are in the labor business. Someone shows up, and that person who's doing the window cleaning or people and or the lighting installation, the lighting setup, they're a representation. They're representing you. They're representing Shine. And
right.
If they're coming disgruntled, if they're having a bad day at home and something bad happens with the client, and so you're putting a lot of trust and faith into your team, and so it's a big deal.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Shine, operates with 5 core values: positive energy, excellence, serving, safety, and fun. Always having fun.
Yep.
And we primarily focus on working 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and so each day we try to reinforce one of those values, just as it either relates to the job or just things that are going on in life in general. And so I think keeping those kind of core values top of mind, not only on the day that they're assigned to, but also just kind of like each and every day, I think helps create that positive culture that we all want to kind of strive for these ultimate goals, and creates a fun and productive place to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's ask the question that everyone wants to know, right? Is Joe doing any window cleaning, or himself? Like, is Joe?
Well, you know what? That goes to the point of, it's so important to find the right team members. And we focus on and make sure that we refer to our group as a team, not employer-employee, because it truly is a team.
Yes.
Because without them in the field representing Shine and doing the hands-on work, that means if they're not there, that means that we have to do it. And we've done a number of jobs on our own, whether it's window cleaning or even holiday lighting, where we've done some jobs, just Jeri and I, because that's what you need to do. But if we have a good team in the field, which we do now, then that means that Jeri can focus on her areas of the business. I can focus on doing more quotes through the year, because if I'm not doing quotes and generating the business, then we don't have anywhere for the team to go and do the excellent work that they do. And the work that they do, and I would even say the customer interface, the relationships that our team has in the field with the clients is stellar. I'm learning things from the crew, and things that they do and say, and how they talk with the clients that helps me even more with my job. And I come from sales, so I feel I have a pretty good rapport, and I'm able to listen to the client and listen to what their needs are and address those and overcome any pushback or any problems that they may have and resolve it so that everyone's happy. But I'm getting even stronger with this strong team that we have in place, and I'm looking forward to that happening more and more.
Absolutely, and that has such a positive impact on your team. When they know that you're leading with that type of mindset. Referring to them as team as opposed to employer. My cousin owns a big kosher style deli up in Northbrook, and I remember, like, my dad told me, like, when I first started working there when I was in college, he just said, hey, like, just show the same respect to the busboy that you do your cousin, and everyone in between, and because it's all a team regardless of like where they are on the organizational chart of the company. And I like what you said there, Joe, about, hey, like, sometimes me and Jeri have had to do jobs because that's just what you got to do, and that's what you sign up for as a small business owner. Sometimes you just got to do it, but man, is it fulfilling when it's for your own company. When it's for your own company.
Yeah, and we are no longer the best window cleaners in the company, that's for sure.
Oh man, that's good.
But even so, we're still pretty good.
Oh yeah. If there's clients out there that see this and then we show up to do the job, don't worry, it'll get done right.
Yeah, there's a whole team. There's a whole team that can do it, including Jeri and Joe. And so, all right. So Joe, you focus mainly on like so now, right? We have, this isn't, we're three entrepreneurs talking. A lot of our audience are entrepreneurs, or really chomping at the bit to be entrepreneurs, to be business owners. So again, like, I am a big fan of, like, when people say, "Hey, Mike, you got to work on the business, not in the business." I think that it's a bunch of. So I challenge that. I'm not going to. It's a very popular cliche in our world. And so at the end of the day, I am a fan of, you have to work. You have to do both. Like, we have to get out of the mindset of like one or the other. And you have to work on your business and in your business. It's just that when you're doing the in your business piece of that, as a business owner, do the thing that you are the all-star on for the team. Like, reckon, like, what is the thing that you can do better than anyone else on the team, and do that as working in the business. And so if that's like, if the best salesperson, if the best salesperson on the team is Joe, then when Joe's working in the business, he should be doing sales. And hey, like, he'll clean a window when he has to clean a window, or put up some lights. And so, but and so, like, that's what like, what are the two, like what are your both, like, superpowers when you're working in the business? Like, Joe, your sales. What about you, Jeri? Like what is the thing that you're doing when you're working in the business?
Let's see. I'm doing some of the marketing and the managing the finances and HR and hiring, and then kind of like being in the business is the one also answering the phone and doing the client intake and managing the database, that sort of thing.
It's easier said than done, and those are
there's a lot there. Yeah.
Important functions of any business. And so a big part of working on the business, versus working in the business is a big part of it is like being self-aware. All right, if I'm not good at this, then who else on the team can do it? And so, like, you're both working in the business on your respective things that you're really good at executing, and then like let's put a team in place for the things that can compensate for the things that we're not good at. That's a big part of it. And so And you're always, and then working on the business, right? Just cultivating relationships in your territory. What are some of the things that the two of you and Shine do to just get the word out there in your territory?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm part of a business networking group, meets every week. So they're like my additional sales force, to kind of help spread the word of Shine. So they are awesome. And then we do a lot of, pay-per-click advertising and, Yelp, and we have a great marketing staff that kind of works with all the Shine franchises to help do things to boost our website and make sure the SEO is getting done, and just different optimization of keywords and getting all that information out there. And then, providing an excellent customer service experience. So then those people become kind of our raving fans, we like to say it, so that they, tell their neighbors, or, we'll follow up with postcards to their neighbors and take a look at what we just did to your neighbors. We can do that for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you guys have been in business since day one of in operations. It's been about so everyone, we're leaving this podcast in it's November 17th, 2022, a week before Thanksgiving. So here we are in mid-November 2022. How long has it been since the two of you have launched your business?
November 5th was 18 months from the first day in the field. We, however, got our franchise and we're official March 1st of 21. So we've been working on the business even longer than 18 months, but in the field, cleaning windows since then.
Awesome. And so congratulations to both of you for surviving that first 12 months of in the field.
Thank you.
And so let's, very candidly out there for people that are listening that want to start a business, it's important to talk about this. Statistics are against you. Statistics are against you, that if you're going to go into business, statistics are against you, that most likely you're going to fail. That's a good topic to dovetail into franchise, right? And so how did the two, because a franchise, right? You invest in a proven system. You pay a franchise fee and ongoing royalty, for the rights to use that brand, to use that franchisor's branding, et cetera, their system in your territory. And so franchise businesses have compared to an independent, they tend to have a better chance, statistically speaking, of surviving because you're investing in a proven system. So how, what's the genesis story of how? Okay, so it's COVID and there's layoffs and you're looking to pivot. How did you what brought you into the what got you into how did you get introduced to the franchise idea if you didn't already know about it?
Yeah, I had a friend that I worked at Johnson & Johnson with for a number of years. He had left J&J at this point 7-8 years ago and got into a franchise. It was a totally different related field. It's actually elder care at home to help families who have elderly family members that need help. And he had been doing that for 6 or 7 years. So when I found myself unemployed and was looking at different options, either continue with the position I was in at a different company, or venture out on our own, whether it's starting from scratch with our brand new idea around some business that we wanted to do, or look at the franchise. So that friend of mine that was in a franchise was kind of the genesis of the idea of maybe this is something that we could do. We also knew that there were franchise brokers, that there were professionals out there that help people like us that have the drive and have the want for a franchise, but have really don't know where to start. And they take that on themselves. And that's no obligation on our part, no fees on our part. And they interview us, talk with us extensively about our backgrounds, about our interests, about our focuses. And then they were able to then narrow it down to about 7 franchises they introduced us to. We then talked about those more. talked about it among ourselves, and then we narrowed it down to 2 or 3. Shine, of course, was one of those. And really the deciding factor for Shine was the fact that with Shine, first of all, we had more potential to grow. But that potential to grow dovetails off the fact that we would also have a team. We would be able to take our excitement, our energy, and our potential and pass that on to other team members as the team grew, reaching out, helping the community one person at a time, just like we are helping homeowners to shine their homes one home at a time.
Pun intended there, everyone.
Yes, exactly intended. Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
We like to use that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the great, that was some great stuff there, Joe. Thank you. The skills that you develop in the corporate world, in the not-for-profit side, like the skills that you develop translate well into business ownership. And with franchising, as the expression goes, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Mm-hmm. And so, and so I, even though I own an independent CPA firm, like I don't own like an H&R Block franchise territory, for example, but I operate really well when I'm given a framework. Like, here's a framework, and here are all so do what you do, but within this framework. Then I can adjust and as opposed to if you just give me a blank slate. And so I'll just talk about writing, for example. Like if I'm just given like a blank Word document or a Google Doc sheet and just like have left to my own devices, I'm going to be very wordy. Like I'm a good writer, like my mom's a librarian, my dad's an author, and so I can write. But like my tendency is I will be very wordy. We're very like over-explain things. But if I'm given, so for example, my chief operating officer, my fractional COO, he's got all of these great templates to use for professional service agreements, whether they're proposals or engagement letters, and we adjust them based on different services that we provide. And but like he started by giving me those templates, and then within that template, I can make certain adjustments. He's, oh, Mike, that's a great idea. That's a great, like, oh, I like that one there. But it's like that starting, but like he gave me the starting point. And so so back to franchise, like Shine has the playbook. They've got the Shine playbook. Now you have to execute the playbook, and the skills that you developed with in your prior life are serving well, but you don't have to be tasked with the responsibility of creating this whole thing from scratch. Shine's already done that for years. Like throughout the years, they probably realized, things within the system that can be improved. And as they say in franchising, like the franchisors learn from their mistakes for all the decades and have improved the system as a result of it in perpetuity. And so it's just that the system is that much more optimized and ready for success for the franchisee who's ready to take the playbook and execute. And so it seems like the two of you are just really thriving with that.
It has helped us considerably because, one of the biggest challenges is, and you even alluded to this earlier, I should set it outright, Michael, is the fact that most new businesses fail. And so we kept looking at a lot of these challenges that would come up. And while Shine provided a fantastic framework, a skeleton in a way of how to approach and how to handle things, it certainly doesn't cover everything. And there were certain circumstances that we were in that we had no idea how to handle, but that's okay, because that's how we learned. And that's how the next time we were in that situation, since it had come up before, now we knew how to better handle it. Still might not have been perfect, but we're working towards excellence, never perfection, but at least excellence. And so we remind ourselves of the fact that we are continually building the base, not only of clients, but also of experiences and of how to best handle certain situations. And again, meet the needs of the clients and also meet the needs of our team and the people in the field. Because there are times when I will do a quote and it's for services that we could offer, but there are certain circumstances or situations or the height of the building or the closeness of the other buildings, and living in Chicago, we know how close the buildings can be, that it's not safe. So it's not even a question of, can the team handle it? I just politely decline that opportunity to work with that client, knowing that it would possibly be unsafe for our team, and move on to the next opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to say no.
Right.
Right. For sure. And I think, definitely having that franchise framework where it's like, well, we've each done, some marketing things, and we know what logos look good in our own personal preference, but like, if you don't have to come up with that, like somebody's already figured that out.
Yep.
That's great. They've already got the colors figured out. They've got the great website figured out.
Yep.
And so then you can just, utilize your skills, as you said, to just still make this opportunity our own, and run things the way that feels good. But it's good that how we, the way Shine, the franchisor, thinks the business should be run also matches with our ideals of how a business should be run too. So that's why it's a good match for us.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeri. And Shine, Shine has figured this out. They figured that out, and they figured out by testing it on the market, because that's another thing that is really important. Is we may think that we have a good idea, and we get romantic about it in our head because it was our idea, and then the market doesn't think the market likes this better, as opposed to this, and so franchisors like Shine, it's about testing your business's respective models, branding, et cetera, on the market, and the market doesn't care about your feelings. The market is the market is the market, and so that's huge. I view business owners, I view entrepreneurs, we are scientists in the laboratory testing experiments, and so the franchisor, of course there's emerging brands versus more legacy brands, and so, but even if you're an emerging brand, so this is not Shine's been around for a while, right?
Even before they've been franchising for just over 10 years.
But okay, so they've just been already franchising for over a decade. But and then when was their flagship? When were they just for their first independent location? Do you guys know? Or
it's been about 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So all right. So just for the audience out there, just one rule, again, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I'm always a fan of when franchisors who are franchising now, I always am curious of a couple things. One, what is the how much time has passed since the opening of their independent flagship location, and the second, and then when they decide they want to start franchising. And so that's a real good indicator for Shine there. Is that there's about 10 years in between they went their first flagship independent and when they started franchising.
Right.
I talked to a lot of people that they had this great idea. They've been in business for 1 year. They're independent business. Now they want to start franchising it. It's it's just are you sure? And so most people, get an education on that, and so I find myself telling people hey, you know what? Just test your independent business for another, few years, and don't rush the franchising thing, and then franchising will come at the appropriate time. So that, and then emerging brands, there are great emerging brands out there, and so this does not apply to Shine, because Shine is more of an established legacy brand, but for emerging brands, how do you when you don't have existing franchisees across the country that have been in business for 3 to 5 to 7 years that you can vet on validation calls, that you can, what do you do? So you have to look at the strength of leadership, because chances are the leadership of that emerging brand, the actual people that are, the C-suite of that franchisor brand, they've been in franchising in one way, shape, or form. And they, they see the potential due to their decades of experience in the franchise industry in general with other brands, other concepts, so always look at strength of leadership, always, regardless of if it's a legacy established brand or if it's an emerging brand, but especially when it's emerging brand, because that's really the only thing that you've got when you're emerging brand. So back to Shine. Holiday lights, or you guys do both lights for Christmas and Hanukkah?
We could.
We certainly can. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's not too late.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. Like for Hanukkah, it kind of like depends like how the Jewish calendar falls that year. But
Right.
but yeah, okay, that's awesome. I actually live in Maine right now. I work remotely from my house in Maine. But when I was in Chicago, my office was in Northbrook and my house is in Lincolnwood. And I like driving around the streets and you see all the Christmas lights and you see you see like some like Hanukkah lights and you see like some menorahs on the front lawn. So
Yeah.
So everyone, regardless of what you're celebrating this year or next year or the next year or the next year, whatever.
And keep in mind, Michael, we also do Halloween lights. We did some this year.
Okay, Halloween lights. Awesome. Nice. Halloween.
4th of July. We've got lots of fun.
Diwali is popular as well, so we could do Diwali. So yes.
Diwali, yeah. There were actually, like, we had a whole celebration. Like, Diwali is a big deal. I just learned that recently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome. So everyone, it's not just Christmas, it's everything that Jeri and Joe and Shine can do. So let's go back to now, because I did a podcast a few weeks ago with the good people over at Authority Brands. Okay, now Authority Brands, they focus, like, they've got a portfolio of brands in home services. And so the common theme there, right? And so this is something that's really interesting for franchise brands in home services. And we were talking about it, you know, like one of the appeals of Shine that the two of you, Jeri and Joe, is, you know, like the playbook to follow, and like the 5 core values: positive energy, like all positive vibes. That is really an interesting topic in the home service industry because the stereotype for home service businesses, and I'll speak from my personal experience as a consumer. We all have stories of that handyman or that independent contractor who, contractors, you know, handymen, craftsmen, carpenters, whatever, like they had, not all of them, but they have a reputation of being good at what they do. Like so-and-so can put in a great hardwood floor like you wouldn't believe. But you can never get a hold of them, or they said they're going to show up at 10 and they showed up at like 3 p.m. and so because it's all about client experience, right? Like client experience and doing the actual technical job is one part of that, very important. And there's lots of people in the market that look the other way, right? Again, as me as a consumer, I'll speak for myself. Like even if so-and-so did a great hardwood floor or they were able to do the plumbing great, I would still be at the dinner table, kvetching with my wife, that was great, but it's just I was waiting for him for 4 hours, and I got things to do. And then also pricing. I'll speak for myself. We've all, I've been there where where so-and-so does a great job with the plumbing and, or the gutter, and it's just hey, so, what do I owe you? And there's no rhyme or reason to it. They just do that thing in their head where they're just kind of this much. And it's how did you come up with that number? And so when you're a franchise business in home services, what you have is that A to Z client experience in all aspects, including, of course, the technical service, but everything that comes with customer service and, showing up on time, a clear, transparent pricing model that a lot of your independent competitors don't have.
Yeah. And it's one of the things that sets us apart is that we always refer to the fact that when we're finished, or when I'm finished, I'm providing a quote, not an estimate, a quote, which means once I've given you that quote and you've accepted, that price will not change unless there's something major, a whole part of the house that I wasn't shown, or possibly come down if they decide that there's a part of the quote that they prefer not to have a service that they don't want. So that's the quote, and it's locked in, and they can count on the fact that that number is not going to go up based on what kind of day I'm having when the crew shows up.
Right.
Yeah.
Very important. Yes. And there's a lot of people out there that, it's about client, and when talking about word of mouth referral, and so, all right, survive the first year, you're now in you're about to be done with 2 years, right? So pat yourself on the back because that's a huge accomplishment. And so what you're doing is you're building up that that long tail of word of mouth referrals. But from day one to now, you have to really, you have to invest in SEO. You have to invest in pay-per-click, et cetera, et cetera. You just have to, because you have to get the word out there. But that word of mouth, long tail, inbound garden will grow and grow. And it's not just the amazing job of the lights or like the impeccable window cleaning. It's the professionalism that they were met with when Jeri answered the phone and did all the intake, and then the professionalism they were met with when Joe came out and gave a proposal, and then the project management throughout from A to Z, whenever they had questions, just being progress updates and stuff like that. All of that stuff on top of the actual great technical service being done. All that stuff's we're talking about, we're at Thanksgiving now, people. It's like at Thanksgiving table, I was like, oh, so and so did my lights. Like it's not just it's like, yeah, like they did my lights, they did the window cleaning, but man, it was just like so professional. They showed up on time, transparent pricing model. Everyone I talked to was just like, really cool. It didn't sound like I was annoying anyone. You could definitely work with Joe and Jeri, and it's like, and Shine, like I highly recommend them. And so all of that stuff goes into word of mouth referrals, as opposed to just, oh, they did a good job cleaning my windows, which is, of course, very important, but there's more that goes into the client experience.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We try to have that whole client experience, as you say. So from when the phone rings and I answer the phone, and then schedule an appointment and they get a confirmation of the appointment time that is set. And then Joe goes out during the time, the time frame that he's supposed to be there. He provides them an exact quote for the services that they're looking for. When they accept, the proposal, then our team shows up in the same red that we wear. They're very personable people. They love to chat it up. And then also do great work. Our team sends clients a notification when they're on the way to do the job. So, we give everybody a time frame of, our crew should show up between, 8 and 10, and they actually get a notice when the crew is on the way. And they actually it's like Uber. So you can see real-time tracking of where the vehicle is and how close they are to pulling up to your home, so that you can get yourself ready. Like, oh, do I need to lock up the dog, or, need to make sure the kids are fed before, all these people start walking into my home. Right. So, and then we follow up with, surveys once the work is complete to make sure it's to their satisfaction, and, just really want to create a good experience and, develop that longevity with people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you brought up a great point there, Jeri. All of that stuff matters because we're all busy in this world. Like, everyone's busy. And so, if you got, whether it's a 2-parent household with, or it's a single family, or it's a single parent household, whatever it is, people are busy with work, with family, with kids, with pets, with this, with that, a back-to-back schedule all day. And so it helps to be able to track when the truck is coming. It helps to be able to communicate there, here, and here. And so a predictable client experience is really important. So that's, again, so very interesting. Like that, like, just thought of this right now. Another story I love to tell. There's a great book out there called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. The E-Myth, as in the entrepreneur myth. Great read for anyone out there who's looking to buy it and who's looking to go into business ownership, or who already is, or who's preparing for their exit in 3 to 4 years. And so Michael Gerber, the author, tells a story about how he went to get a haircut. And he went, and so his first time at this barber, and sat down. And they went, and it was now his time to go get the shampoo, and they happened to serve him just a complimentary glass of wine when he was getting his shampoo done, and which and then he that was cool, and then he went to get his haircut, and he went a second time, and there was the glass of wine, but there was no, and I'm not telling it 100%, but but then there was, like, for some reason, like, the shampoo part got missed, but then you just got the haircut, and it was a great haircut. All right, so both times it was a great haircut. And then the third time, shampoo and haircut, but they just weren't serving the wine, which is fine, great haircut. He found himself driving home after that third time, saying even though he had a great haircut 3 times in a row, he didn't want to go back because of like the unpredictability of the client experience. Mm-hmm. And so like predictability of experience is huge when you put yourself in the mind of the client, because predictability is we lean on it helps, so again, getting back to our independent friends out there that are in home service, we're using that because Shine is home service, window and holiday lighting. It happens way too many times when when someone's going to show up they're going to show up at 10 and then they show up at 2 and it's just that is it's frustrating, and it's not, and you can't predict it. And so predictability in the client journey and the client experience is huge. And having a business that understands that and caters to that client experience is very important, regardless of industry. But it's really, and so that really was present for me, Jeri, when you were saying how you got the option for the clients to track where the truck is and everything like that. Because even if it's going to be late by a little bit, if you can at least track it, then at least when it's going to show up. So maybe you can do a little, you can write that email before you can expect, so it's just huge.
Right. It's the same tracking when I go to do a quote. And it's interesting because there have been a number of times where I'm approaching the front door and it opens because they were expecting me. And I love that feeling because I know that they really appreciated the app and thought enough of it that they answered the door before I even got there.
Yeah. That's great. So what, is there that aha, you started working with your franchise consultant, and shout out to all the great franchise consultants out there. Franchise consultants are in the awareness bringing and education business. And it seems like the two of you had a great franchise consultant that you were working with, because all great franchise consultants know that it's all about just bringing awareness to this thing called franchising, which a lot of people think that only applies to QSR, right? Quick service restaurant, franchising. What is this person trying to do? Sell me on a Taco Bell or a KFC? Bringing awareness to all the industries that are within the franchise, that the franchise model exists in, and also educating about it. And so that's all it is. It's a big exercise, and being patient. So you started with 7 brands, got it down to 2. Then what was it about? And I know that, you've said it, but just say it again because it's important. What was that? What was that? When the two of you were at the table talking, what was the one or multiple deciding factors? Hey, we've been researching all of these brands, we're down. What was it that just made Shine a go?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I think the focus on the mission, the fact that it's about the impact. We're in a people business. No matter what it is we're actually doing, it's a people business. So it's about the impact on the people, whether they're working for us or we're working for them. And then, but it's also a business. So there's, potential for income and potential for growth. And, as well as the fact that it incorporated, having a team, to work with us. And so there were other opportunities where it could have just been, just me, or maybe just me and Joe. But we were looking for, we're in the midst of the pandemic and people weren't working, and we're like, we need to do something to help put people back to work.
Yep.
So, I think everything just really aligned to put us together with Shine.
Yep.
Wow. Jeri, thank you for sharing that. That's just so powerful. It's, it's you both were doing your things, respectively before business ownership with Shine, and just seeing how it is working, for other companies, and that big corporate culture, or that big bureaucratic government or NFP culture that can happen. And so it's from day one, you not only wanted to be your own boss and for everything that comes along with that, but to be able to create create a home, create a safe place where your team can come and they could love coming to work in addition to making the income that they need to support their families.
Right.
Small businesses are the backbone of America, and I know other countries too. But wow. Thank you, Jeri and Joe, because that is what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So to be able to manifest that desire of yours into a real thing now, almost 2 years in, I know that there are some sleepless nights at times.
Yeah.
But also there are, what I'm hearing is that there are also times where there's some more often than not, some nights of just lots of gratitude and just peace of mind, knowing that you're doing this and you're really making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And I'll also say that the fact that we have each other has helped a lot as well, because there are times when I'm at my lowest and Jeri steps in, and Jeri's at her lowest and I step in, and we help balance each other and bring each other back and remind each other of why we started to do this and how far we've come and how excited we are to continue on this journey together. And that's been the key for us. There are very successful franchises out there with Shine and other franchises that have one business leader and they're doing it on their own. And that's fantastic. But we both know that this is something we need each other in order to be as successful as we have been and will continue to be, because we're a couple working as a couple, and it's the biggest key, I think, to our success overall.
Yeah, wonderful, and I can relate. I'll say it for myself, but I am nothing without my wife. She's not only my wife, she's my best friend, my soulmate. She's my business partner, and she's what. I'm able to operate my Chicago-based. We're really a nationwide CPA firm. We're a virtual CPA firm. And the only reason why I can operate, the only reason why we went from a Chicago CPA to a virtual CPA firm is because of the infrastructure that she implemented. So now I can work, whether it's from my home office in Chicago or my home office in Maine, or if we're in Eastern Europe, or her whole family. And so, but not only that, just everything that you just said, Joe, just when I'm feeling down, she's there to pick me up, and vice versa. Working with your spouse, I've got a lot of clients, and so I hear the horror stories a lot of people experience, working with spouse. Some people, a lot of people can't do it, but when it does work, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And you have to realize how to work with each other, and part of that we also realize is we need to give each other our own space.
Yeah.
And that's important as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big part of that is understanding just everything that goes into just making the relationship work, and and so there are times when we each need our own space, and for the other person to understand that, it's critical. And so the two of you have been proven concept, and it just seems like things are going great. They are going great. It doesn't just seem like it. They are going great. I can just hear it every time that the two of you just talk, and it's amazing. And thank you for playing your part in making this world a better place with what you're doing with your business. And where do you see yourselves with Shine just in the next where's that place 7 years from now? What's that vision 7 years from now? What do you see?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So we have, so for each truck that we have 2 crew members. So right now, we have 1 truck basically going out in the field and 2 crew members. So by 7 years, we really hope we're up to at least, I think, 5 trucks.
That would be fantastic.
10 people, working out in the field, a business development manager that's overseeing, the crew out in the field, so that we're ultimately able to step back from the, working on the business and still just taking that higher level of working, not working in, but working on. Did I say that right? I hope. Yeah.
Wonderful. What about you, Joe? Anything, or just everything that Jeri said, or anything else that?
Yeah, I would say that, and the goal is to add as many trucks as possible. We know with the territory that we have and with the base that we've built and are continuing to build, that branching out, whether it's just stronger and more territories within Chicago proper, but also looking at those opportunities in some of the suburb areas, the Chicago land as opposed to Chicago proper, and just being able to give as many people the opportunity to work for an organization like ours, to work with the team that we've been building and will continue to build, and that it becomes more self-sufficient, because that's the goal, so that when I get to retirement in a few years, that this is something that will be self-sustainable and that the crews will be strong and continue to support each other, and that many more people working for Shine and supporting their families and making Chicago a brighter place, one household and one team member at a time.
Wonderful. Well, here's to that. And I have to say, right, I'm a CPA, so all those trucks, you got to love all of that accelerated depreciation.
Thanks for reminding us.
It's that time of year where if you need another truck, now's the time to do it. So,
right.
Okay. I mean, now if anyone out there that's listening, that wants to be a client, so how does it work? I mean, if they Google search if they Google search Shine, if you're a potential client that's does the SEO determine where that IP address of the computer is, and will they pop up? How does it work? How do they get routed to your website? Does it start with the corporate corporate Shine website and then redirect to you? How does that work?
Mm-hmm. So on shine-windowcleaning.com, you'll be able to enter in your address, and it would direct you to your local Shine. We are the only Shine franchise in all of Illinois. So we can technically right now go wherever we want, as we won't be infringing on anybody else's territory. That's one way to find us. Also, if our name locally is Shine of Chicago North, so you can Google that, see our Google reviews. If you were to do, window cleaning Chicago, we should be right up there as well.
We also do pressure washing as well. So keep that in mind too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And holiday lights.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Great. That's great. And to all my Chicago people out there, I've got a big network in Chicago. I know how Chicago is. There's a lot of the big city, a lot of great, you have a lot of options when it comes to home services, a lot of independent contractors there. And I've experienced it. There are good ones, there's bad ones, there's medium ones, but what a lot of them don't have is that not only on top of the good service, which is implied that Shine does, it's just everything else that Shine does when it comes to that client experience. I know a lot of you in Chicago listening right now, you all are nodding your head and can relate to what it's like to deal with those independents. And a lot of those independents, I don't want to bash independents, but I'm telling you, give Shine, work with them. You're not going to be disappointed, because you know how busy you are, people. I know, as you're driving or you're listening to this before bed or whatever, doing the dishes, you know how busy you are, and you can't afford to. It's frustrating to have that unpredictable client experience and stuff. So, Shine is here, and they do great. They have a great service, and it's not just the technical service; it's everything that goes into that client experience. And so anything with pressure, with window cleaning and holiday lighting, and by the way, pressure washing as well. Shine of now is it Shine of Chicagoland? I mean, it's really you can say Shine of all of Illinois right now. Shine, Jeri and Joe Reeder, Shine of Illinois, Chicagoland, Chicago proper.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. As buying into a franchise, you do have to buy a protected territory. So the name of our, that Shine franchisor gave our protected territory is called Chicago North. But yeah, again, since we're the only ones here right now, we can serve a broader area than just that protected territory. And so, so if you don't come up for some reason, if you enter a zip code and it doesn't come up as the local Shine here, we can certainly, you can email me and or just give me a call and we'll talk about it and we'll try to make it happen. Or, if you're in an area that, maybe we can't get to and you want to provide this, same kind of service and you're thinking you have that kind of, do I have that entrepreneurial bug? We can talk with anybody who might be interested in starting a Shine franchise as well.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's a great point, Jeri. Thank you. For any one of you listening out there, that Shine looks like something like the next chapter in your life that you want to do, and you want to have a call and talk about the Shine experience as a Shine franchisee with Jeri and Joe. Jeri just offered, and so take her up on her offer. I mean, thank you, Jeri. Thank you, Joe. I mean, being a small business owner to me is the real American dream. I'll just speak from experience. My wife comes from Bulgaria, and we go to Bulgaria a lot, and Bulgaria is an amazing country. But there's still there's still a lot of communism and a mindset lingering around over there. And it's not just Bulgaria. There are a lot of countries around the world. I know that America is an ongoing project, and we have a lot of good and bad things that we as a country have to work on. But I've seen it in other countries. It is not easy to start a business, and it is not easy to start it. There's no place like America to be your own boss. So if you're looking to pivot out of your corporate job, your government job, or whatever, and you want to consider franchising, and you want to talk more in depth with people that are doing it, who are a real life, current live success story, Jeri and Joe, we're going to have their contact information at the end of this podcast. It'll be here. So just, if you just can't wait, just fast forward to the end and it's there. But Jeri and Joe, thank you so much for joining me on the SRA podcast and telling your story.
Oh, thank you so much for having us, Michael. This has just been great.
Yes, thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate it.
It's an honor and privilege. Thank you, Jeri and Joe.